the podcast because we like to chat a minute and then so.
Well, I really think it's important that we talk now.
All right. So, do you
Iggy,
really
are you
want
ready?
me to? I can.
Okay. I can start? All right.
Welcome, Iggy.
Welcome, Iggy.
We'll start with Iggy today.
Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. That's just crazy.
Okay. Welcome to Wholehearted Living with Valerie
And Bennie.
Yes.
Because I usually do the start, and I was going to say, okay, then you can do it, and then you just stop talking.
Well, this is usually the podcast where one of us comes in with a subject and the other person doesn't know. But right now, we are actually reading the book, The Gifts of Imperfection, and we're kind of just going over it guidepost by guidepost.
Yeah.
So,
well, the whole book, because there was a beginning section too. So,
well, that's true.
So we do encourage you to listen to the previous. What guidepost are we on
Probably,
right now?
so
There's six. So no. We did
just
five.
reading
we
five.
just finished five. That's what we're going to talk about today. So we've got seven, I guess.
Right, because we had the whole preface.
And so,
part.
but it's a great book. We encourage you to read it. We are not doing a book report. We're highlighting things that were important to us, and then, or I should say, that kind of impacted us, and then we're relating it to our lives.
Exactly.
And yeah, so we're doing that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So we are glad you're with us, Iggy. Thank you so much
For doing all you do.
Hello.
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 Yeah. So thank you for being here and keeping our
Look at
sound
my
in
new
place.
bracelet.
And we'll just move to a different subject.
Yeah, I got a new bracelet. You guys can't see this if you're listening, but
If you're on YouTube,
look,
you
it says Nicole, Dustin, and Kylie.
You know what's interesting is it's all your kids.
That's right. And then I got another one that says Mazzy and Marley, but it's gold. This one's silver.
Oh,
I know. I'm so cool. So you want to
You
know
are
about
so
my week?
cool. Yeah.
So last week we talked about, just before we got into the book, we just talked a little bit about how I lost Buttercup
How your dog
due to
passed
old
away,
age.
died.
Yeah, my dog passed away. I shouldn't say lost, because she didn't run away. She passed away.
I don't mean that to sound rude, but I actually am going to talk just real quickly on grief, because what you mentioned when I went over to your house later to kind of console you guys, and then you had, and it's interesting because when they talk about grief, I'm actually in a grief class right now. They say euphemisms are really important to avoid in death scenarios because like in the case of Peter, he didn't know that the dog had died until later because you had said we lost. You said the dog. What did you say? The dog.
What did I say to him? I said, she's gone.
She's gone.
She's not. She's so cold.
And he was thinking that she's like out of her wits. Like,
Yes.
Like not.
Yeah, and she
died.
had been shaking. So I think when I said she's cold, he thought she was shivering. So
there's something about the
that's very
finality
true.
of
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
that the dog
She died.
whoever
true.
and whatever is that they died because especially not that Peter's a kid, but especially with kids because kids can get very confused.
Of course, and he did text back like, I know we're going to take her to, this vet is open 24 hours, so I can take her when we get home from work, when he gets home from work. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then he realized, he called me right away and was like, wait. But anyway, he had always said, as Buttercup was getting older, we talked about another dog possibly at some point. And when Buttercup passed, and he's like, oh, I don't want another dog. Like, I really honestly would like to just not have to worry about being home. It's been like 25 years since we had a dog in the house. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Since
with
you've
Coco,
not had one.
not had a dog. Yeah. And so I kind of agreed with him. I was just like, yeah,
I'm
let's
so
see
sorry.
what it's
And I
like.
interrupted you real quickly because both Patty and I wanted to know, and I always forgot. How old was Buttercup?
14.
14.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Keep going.
So, anyway, I kind of agreed with him. I'm like, yeah, it would be nice not to worry about, having a dog at home, or if we wanted to go somewhere, who would watch the dog, that kind of stuff. But honestly, when Buttercup passed away, I think he could tell how sad I was. He really, I was devastated. It was my little baby. I didn't have kids at home anymore.
Right.
This was my little baby. And so it was interesting because like 4 or 5 days after he asked me, he goes, I don't know how you feel, but not opposed to adopting another dog. And I was just like, oh my God. And then as soon as I tell Kylie, she's like looking dogs up and, so it was just like one of those things where it was like, and then I kind of felt bad. Like, would I be cheating on my dog if I did that? And I talked to a foster mom to dogs. And she said, it's one of the best things you can do to honor the pet that just lost is give another dog a good home. And so,
and you're saying you were so big in my life, that you as a dog were so big in my life, Buttercup, that I actually can't replace you. There's no replacing. But there's a void. But there's an emptiness now. And so I want that companionship again.
Yeah. And it feels good. It feels good to know that there will be another for baby.
So you decided then?
Well, I mean, we're not making any rash decisions. I'm looking at stuff. We're but I'm not, it's not like I'm going to run out tomorrow and get one. I'm like waiting for the right time and thing to happen. Like, I feel like if it's supposed to happen, it'll happen. But which is really interesting. I was just telling Ashley this as she was leaving and I ran into her,
my daughter,
on the way in. Yeah. There was a dog that was in a car as pickup from our kids at school. So she was picking her kids up from school, and
that's
a little
special dog. The dog could drive.
No, she was picking her kids up from school, and there was a little dog, and it was a stray, and she, as a foster dog mom, and so she picked the dog up and brought it home. She's been looking all over Nextdoor app, wherever you want to call it, to find out if anybody's missing a dog, and nobody's posted anything about a missing dog, and so it's a cute little dog. And I said, "Well, here's my number." And if it's supposed to happen, it's supposed to happen. I really do hope the dog finds the owner, because how sad. But
or the human finds the owner and the dog finds the owner,
or the human finds. Yeah,
I get it.
Anyway, I just told myself whatever's supposed to happen is supposed to happen, and I'm not.
What kind of dog was it?
It was like a Shih Tzu mix.
Don't cuss at me. I don't remember what a Shih Tzu is.
It's like a little furry dog.
Oh, that's really helpful, because all the other dogs in the world are bald. So I don't know.
It's like long little hair.
Good. So a yapper.
I know. I think maybe there it is.
Oh,
but that's a full one, right? This one's a mix. It looks a little different than that, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you have somewhere to go?
Speaking of which, Kylie is sending me pictures of dogs right now.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, how was your week?
My week was pretty, I don't know if the right word's challenging. There's just a lot going on. So I've told you before that I'm taking 3 courses right now. And my goal was, and I think I mentioned this, that I'm going to stay ahead and I'm going to do this. Well, I'm behind. So I'm radically behind. Although I did turn in a paper last week.
Well, then you better not watch the Super Bowl on Sunday. You better get upstairs and do some homework.
And so I haven't even been able to think about the Super Bowl very much. I wear all my red. I'm wearing my hat right now for YouTubers. And so the thing is that last week I had to write a paper in one day. That's pretty uncommon. I mean, I had a process for it and I had to do some pre-work and all that. I have another paper due this week and I'm gonna have to do the same thing because of the Super Bowl on Sunday. And I haven't done any pre-work. I mean, I've done the readings and stuff, but I haven't done any pre-work. So so I'm a little bit concerned about it, and it's a bigger paper. Although I will say I aced the other paper. I was like pretty surprised.
See, you work better under pressure.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's true, but and what I will say about the other paper that's different is I had all the format done, I had everything set up, and then I just needed to write it. This one I have done nothing. So there's no question I'll be working on it all day tomorrow, and then probably some on Sunday, even with the Super Bowl. But the Super Bowl's in the afternoon, so hopefully I'll be okay. But it is what it is. I mean, I have to do what I have to do, and so why I say that, when you say when you have a monkey on your back and you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it and you're thinking about it, and that's kind of the way it's been.
I don't know. I've never had a monkey on my back, so
Ross. So no, I really just feel that it's been there, and every day has just been something, more and more stuff, and so finally I literally all you can say is I'm just going to do the best I can.
Yep. That's all you can do.
That's all I can do.
Just give it all you got.
I will say one thing that's sad for me is when I can't work out completely, because that's a really important thing for me. And yesterday, the day before, I couldn't work out. I mean, I did work out, but I did stuff in my room because I didn't have time. So I did I did 100 lunges. I did 100 air squats. I did 100 push-ups. I did 100 sit-ups.
Well, that's good.
And so I did.
Still moving your body.
Yeah, so I did that. And then today I didn't have a whole lot of time, so I went downstairs and did some devil press and
well, that's good. That's
some
a good,
other stuff.
Ooh, you know what's a good overall body workout is what are they called?
Swimming.
Turkish get-ups.
Oh yeah, those are no fun.
They're not fun, but that's a good overall. If you don't have a lot of time and you just do maybe
that's
10 on each side or alternate.
The only thing about those is that I don't know that because I don't know that I only have a 1.5 pood and a 2 pood kettlebell. So those,
you definitely need, yeah.
A 1.5 pood would be pretty heavy for that.
I'm pretty sure when I used to do them, I do them with a dumbbell now. But yeah,
I could do it with a dumbbell. Yeah. I have a dumbbell where
it's a little easier because it's the balance is better than the
just hold
kettlebell.
It so yeah, right.
Yeah. But you're right. If you have a heavy kettlebell, that's hard.
So those of you that don't know what in the world we're talking about, just Google all those things.
Turkish get-up.
That's
a really good overall body workout.
Also, the other thing is that, I work out downstairs and yes, I have the foam and all that stuff, but that's where Patty, the car is parked, and so it's wet. And so, I mean, it's not wet on top, but because it's one of those things that you put together, when you squish it, water comes up from the bottom, and it's kind of, so it's been raining here for those folks that don't know. Yeah. Anywho, yes, I'm looking forward. You guys are coming over for the Super Bowl, even though you don't give a rip about football. You're not going to give us crap, right? When we're cheering and being loud.
Oh, not this time, because the Lions aren't in it.
Oh, yeah.
If the Lions were in it, you would have heard crap.
Yeah. Well, I would have been okay with that.
Yeah, but no crap. I'm cheering for the Chiefs.
Yep.
Chiefs.
For the Chiefs? What did you say?
I said Chiefs at first.
Wear red. So you can go ahead and wear your Detroit Red Wing red. You could do that because it's at least red.
Yeah.
So
they're both red.
They're both red. That's true. They're both red.
That's true.
Wow, this house is red, Chiefs red. But we're wearing red in the Super Bowl. They're wearing white. So we're the home team. We got to choose our uniform, and we chose red.
Okay.
So that's very important. I don't even know if it's worth going on with a podcast. We should just talk about the Chiefs in San Francisco. So, guys, we're going to just let you know very quickly. I hope I can do this fast. Well, no, I probably cannot.
Oh, God.
Can we get to I want to know what the last guideposts were. I think that's really good when we get to
the last
summarize.
Guidepost was cultivating gratitude and joy, letting go of scarcity and fear of the dark.
Yeah.
That was Guidepost 4.
And Guidepost 3 was cultivating a resilient spirit, letting go of numbing and powerlessness. So letting go of those things. Guidepost number 2. Do you got it?
No, I have one here. Let me see. 2, cultivating self-compassion, letting go of perfectionism.
Yeah, that was a big one. And then you could do one.
1 is cultivating authenticity, letting go of what people think. Which that's a really good one.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all really good.
Actually, they're all really good.
It really is.
Today's actually was the lowest one. I mean, it was very brief guidepost.
It was very brief, but I really found it interesting because the guidepost today that we're going to focus on is cultivating intuition and trusting faith, letting go of the need for certainty.
Yes.
The reason it resonated with me, and I know that, God, there's so many mixed reviews on this one. In terms of what I'm going to say. But the reason it resonated with me is because I used my intuition back in the year 2020 with the pandemic when the vaccine came out. I hesitate to say the word because I don't know if it's going to be like all of a sudden red flagged. It's definitely red flagged on Instagram, but I don't know about podcasts or YouTube or whatever. But anyway, so my intuition told me not to get the vaccine, and that for several reasons. And as I read through this guidepost, it clearly solidified what my reasonings were for not getting it, because it could either come from a place of you just don't know if you can make the decision or not, or it's because you need more answers. You want more digging and get more information from it and whatever. At the end of the day, my gut just said no, because it's a new vaccine. There wasn't enough research on it. And, when I kept digging and when I kept looking at the ingredients, they said the ingredients won't be listed for years, which was like, what? How am I going to put something in my body if I don't even know what I'm putting in my body?
Right.
Was there actual facts on people being able to steer clear of COVID with the vaccine? No, there was nothing because it was new. So all that to say, my gut and intuition told me not to do it, and I didn't. And
here you are, still alive and fine.
I'm still alive and fine. And in fact, when I did get COVID, I did not get it bad.
Yeah.
I think
the thing that's hard, and I mean, I get what you're saying, because I did get the vaccine, and this was one of those areas that probably you and I disagree on, but I don't have any, here's my thing. I don't have any qualms about people that choose not to. I don't understand all the health things, and I definitely don't eat or think about the things that I put in my body like you do. Mm-hmm. So I can understand why this would be so very, very important to you. I think what's fascinating about the whole idea of intuition and excuse me, and for us to be able to say, yeah, because first of all, just getting into that vaccine thing is, for me, the biggest thing was, I'm just going to trust the people that say that they need to do it. And I put so much crap in my body than putting one more thing. I will say I've never gotten boosters, and I haven't done all the other stuff. I did the one thing. Mm-hmm. I will also say that something that fascinated me, that really kind of irritated me not tiny bit, quite a bit actually, was when the way that it was promoted was, hey, everybody needs to do this so we could stop it, so we could stop it from going. Mm-hmm. And then I talked to my doctor once when I got it, actually when I got a different vaccine, and I said to him, he said, do you want the flu vaccine? I said, whatever, sure. And I said, I don't know why I do that, because it never, I still get the flu every year. And he goes, oh, well, it doesn't prevent you from getting it. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean it doesn't prevent me from getting it? And he goes, no, the goal of the flu vaccine, or any vaccine, and that's what he said, or any vaccine for that matter, is to prevent you from escalating and getting to the point of perhaps dying due to whatever. Mm-hmm. I said, so that's the same thing for the COVID one? And he goes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't presented like that at first.
No, it was presented that this is going to stop.
Right.
This is going to stop it. And then right after everybody's getting it, there was Colin Powell and certain people that died that had it, and they were not even in bad shape per se. And so it was like, I don't understand what's going on. But what it was interesting to me is there was clearly some things that were going on in the very beginning. And I think some of it's just ignorance. Like you said, people just didn't know.
Sure.
And then there's another thing, that there's planned like obsolescence. Like, in other words, we're not going to tell you that this doesn't actually stop you from getting sick. Right. We're not going to tell you that, because if we tell you that, then you're really unlikely to do it, And so for me, it was such a big deal. When I heard that, I went, oh, I had no idea that vaccines, I mean, here I'm 50-some years old, and I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to take it a step further in terms of this particular topic, we can go on for this forever. Yeah. But, the thing is that they brought out that, and then they said, okay, now you need a booster. Now you need a second. Now you need a third. And then somebody told me not the other day, it's been months, maybe even a year ago. Well, it's the same thing as the flu. You get a different flu vaccine every single year because it's a new strain, but they don't know what strain's going to be that year. So you're really getting it for a strain previously. From the previous year. Yeah. And so then I'm thinking, but then I'm looking at the people that get the flu vaccine and they still get the flu. Yeah. And then I've never had the flu. I mean, I haven't had it in 30 years. And so when people say, well, you really should get it just in case, I'm like, just in case of what? I'm not getting the flu. So it doesn't make sense to me. And that's why this particular thing with regard to intuition this just didn't sit right with me. It was still too new. I'm definitely not the person where, like you and I have discussed this before, I'm definitely not the person where a doctor says, you should do this. Because my thing back to the doctor is, why should I do that? And then, they gave me their reasons. I'm like, okay. And I keep digging. I am that questioner. Right. I am definitely, and I loved when she said that she's a poll taker, because even during that whole 2020 year, I took polls with everyone. Like, I walked around every time I went to a grocery store, I would chat with the checkers and ask how they felt about certain things and the mask wearing and whatever. I was just really curious what people thought and it wasn't because it was going to sway my position and how I felt about something. I was just curious where people sat with all of it and why people would get the vaccine. Well, she was saying, though, that she doesn't think that she should take polls all the time, because all of a sudden she's saying, I should just trust my intuition. Exactly. And that's how I differed from her. And I even think I wrote that I did. I went, not me. And so for people that take the polls for that particular reason, because she basically said, I like to take polls because it kind of helps me decide where I want to go. But my thing is, this is where I stand. This is how I feel about it. But yeah, I feel like asking people, well, why are you going to take the vaccine? Or why do you feel this way? Or whatever.
So your poll taking was different, though. I think the motivation was different. What she was trying to say, I think what she was saying, which I agree, which I can understand, is sometimes we have a decision that we need to make and we know the decision that we want to make, and we continue to ask people, we're taking a poll as to what I should do, even though your intuition says that I know what I need to do.
Yeah,
absolutely. That I absolutely know what I need to do and that I'm going to do this thing. But we keep asking other people because we're not trusting our own self.
Right.
And then what was fascinating to me about it, because we're going to get off of that subject matter, is... So I read a book called Blink. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I haven't.
Yeah, it's a great book. So Blink is literally this guidepost in a book. It's an entire book on this. And what they in Blink, I'm not going to get the exact facts right, so sorry about this. But what I do remember is that there was the one thing that happens is they find ancient sculptures and different things like this. And then people clean them up and then they want to sell them or give them to museums and all these things. And all I remember the story is that there was a person who studied these things, knew these things, all this stuff, looked at it and said fake. Immediately knew it was fake. And what was funny is other people are studying it more and doing all these tests and doing all this stuff. And I'm going to make a very long story short. And it turned out the first guy was right.
Right.
And he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He blinked. He just knew intuitively, this is wrong. And then what people think is, well, that's a spiritual thing then. That's like some kind of God, God coming into that person and giving them special awareness. And the whole idea of the book and the whole idea of what she says here is it doesn't really work like that. It's the fact that guy had spent years doing these kind of things and studying this kind of stuff, that when he saw it, he was like, no, I know exactly what it is. I know that's not right. Yeah. That's not the right thing.
Well, and that's, when you talk about intuition, it's something that if you go with your gut and your intuition and you keep that as a practice, if you will, then you can rely on that more, right? You're not going to just always second guess it. And at the end of the day, when people ask me questions, or not questions, but like advice or whatever, my first thing is, well, what is your gut telling you? Because I want to know really where they sit with it. Well, my gut is saying this. And then you kind of weigh the pros and cons or what have you, kind of like what she was saying with poll taking is kind of what it's like, I guess. But, at the end of the day, I say, okay, well, here's your pros, here's your cons, but really go with your gut.
Yeah.
Like you really honestly need to go with what feels right within you.
Well, I think the gut thing all has to do with the idea that we are, I think the fear in trusting our gut is I didn't make a smart decision. We think by trusting our gut that we're eliminating reason.
Yeah.
And her point was, and Blink's point is, your gut is coming from all the experience and all the different things that have happened in your life. And all of these things end up driving towards you making the right decision. I mean, the most classic thing where this comes up is with boyfriend and girlfriend, relationships. And so it's like, man, I don't know if this is the right person for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't really understand. I don't know if this is the right person for me. And I'm always laughing. I laugh at this when people are talking about marriage, for instance, and they're talking about it, and it's like, well, I don't know if I should, and I don't know if and I'm like, yes, you do. What you're really saying is, I just don't want to make that decision. I don't really want to make the decision, and it's one or the other. It doesn't necessarily mean that they do want to or don't want to.
Sure.
It's just that more often than not, they know what they want,
right?
And they're just afraid to pull the trigger. Or same thing with a job. I don't know if I should accept that job or not. You probably, internally what you want.
You just don't want to make the wrong decision.
You just don't want to make the wrong decision. So you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
And then what do? I'm going to ask 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And this is really big in church too, because the church, the Bible talks about, hey, there's wisdom in much counsel. So the idea is, I better ask everybody and their mom. And I would agree that there is wisdom in counsel. You definitely want to learn. And I feel like that's what you were doing when you were poll taking.
Yeah.
I don't know that asking the grocer is is going to give you more education because they're not necessarily educated in it. You're getting
no. That's not what I would ask them, but I'm not going to go down that road right now because
right.
But I mean, it wasn't about like educate me on something. I was asking their feeling about something.
Their opinion about it. Yeah. Well, the thing about this is like, if you're talking about, well, what college am I going to go to? And you have a gut feeling toward that college, but you want to be an engineer and that thing has a really crappy engineer department. Well, that's where you get wisdom from much counsel, because they go, I just want to let you know, they don't do that. They don't really do engineering.
Well, that's why I was saying, like, when, I have people ask me for advice, especially like the kiddos or something, like my kids, it's like, just, okay, well, what's your gut telling you? And then weighs the pros and cons, like literally list them. And then at the end of all of that, go with your gut.
Yeah.
Like, you really, honestly, there's something intuitive, whatever it is that you feel intuitively is something that I personally feel like you should be going with. I feel like if you go against the intuitive part of it, then you're not wholeheartedly making a decision that's right for you.
Yeah. Well, and then what's interesting about this particular guidepost that I thought was fascinating was the whole idea of, because she talks about intuition and then she talks about faith and she talks about like the spirituality and I think she I think she herself is a Christian, but she just really wants to be spiritual. Is what she really wants to be. And she's not I hate using that term because I don't even like calling myself a Christian, because everybody goes, oh, then you're this way. And I'm not. I don't fit a lot of those generalities. But I just love the way she talks about faith, because there's a definition here, or at least one of the research. She says, faith is a place of mystery where we find the courage to believe in what we cannot see and the strength to let go of our fear of uncertainty. And what I love about that is, and I think I might have mentioned this on the podcast once before, but she uses this Richard Rohr, theologian, and he says, my scientist friends have come up with something called principles of uncertainty in dark holes. They're willing to live inside imagined hypotheses and theories, but many religious folks insist on answers that are always true. We love closure, resolution, and clarity while thinking that we are people of faith. How strange that the very word faith has come to mean its exact opposite. And I find this so true. We have apologetics courses in theology. There's people, and apologetics, for those that don't know, I'm going to defend my faith. And the idea is I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove that my faith is good and right. And there's literally courses on how you tell people that your faith is right. And it's
opposite of what faith really is.
Yes, you're defending something that can't be defended.
Yeah.
Faith is by definition something that is I don't know.
Yes, it's uncertainty.
It's uncertainty. It's like I'm trusting in something that I really don't get.
Yeah.
And my opinion is, if you can get God completely, then you have a very small God, because that's the whole idea, is that this supreme being, higher power, whatever you want to call him, is so different than us,
right?
That he doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So I love this theologian the way he does that. But what it really means to me is, there are in fact times, like you going back to the intuition thing, there are times when we have to go, I just have to trust this thing. I just have to trust whatever it is that's going on. I have to go, this is okay and just risk it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always blown away. I've used this illustration before. It's funny. I just used it with a life coaching client. But one of the things that I find interesting about the Garden of Eden, if you're a Bible person, the Garden of Eden talks about the tree, right? It talks about the tree. So let me ask you, you're familiar with the Garden of Eden. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a highly theological question. No, it isn't. Iggy, I'm going to ask you this question too. Okay.
Put your thinking cap on.
What can you do? What can you do in the garden?
You could do everything. No. You could do everything but eat an apple.
Eat the fruit.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, did I already tell you this?
No, I'm just so smart.
But that's exactly right.
Right. There was one thing that they couldn't do.
But what's funny is everybody focuses on the fact that he said you can't eat the tree. And what's funny is
you can't eat the tree.
you can't eat the fruit. And what's funny is that when people imagine it, and if I said to you, imagine that they're always right next to that fruit.
Yeah.
Well, you could go down the street, man. You could go to the other side. It's like you can do so many things.
Yeah.
Life is so much bigger. But I think for a lot of people of faith, they see a line and they think, I can't cross it. Mm-hmm. And that's they're constantly just focused on the line. They're focused on not making the wrong decision. They're focused on, I got to do the right thing. I'm looking for God's will. And what they're looking for is like a specific, like I can't marry the wrong person, or I can't find the wrong job, or I can't. And they're so stuck on trying to make the exact right decision instead of going, man, you could do anything. Just don't eat that particular fruit. Yeah. And, some people are going to get mad at me because there's certain other things the Bible says. But what I'm really trying to focus on is when we trust and when we're living according to our values and our mission and we're really living according to things that are positive principles in our life, we can abandon trying to make the wrong decision and focus on just making the next decision.
Exactly.
So I hope that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense because I think most people. Well, I mean, you could just apply it to a practical term where somebody decides that they want to watch what they eat, and then they're like, "But I can't have this, I can't have that, and I can't have this." And it's like, yeah, but look at everything else you can have. You know what I mean? And it's just very interesting that the focus is on what they can't have. Right.
And then I would even go one step further and say you can have it.
Yeah, you're choosing not to have something.
Yeah, you're choosing not to have it. You can have it, but yeah, what you can't do is, like for me, I can't have ice cream. It's okay. I just shouldn't eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
I just should take a couple bites.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But does your intuition tell you to eat the whole thing?
More than my intuition, my entire being. My entire being goes, eat that.
See, it's so funny because I'm so opposite of you. Peter's a lot like you. Like if you put it in front of him, he will eat it all. And he will, you can't go to a Mexican restaurant with him because if the salsa's there, it's like, you better hurry up and get some because he will eat it all. Like if it's in front of him, he'll eat it. I can take one little tiny cookie and break it in half and eat that, and I'm good. Like,
yeah,
I do not feel the need to.
What you just described doesn't even sound like it's acceptable behavior.
That's Mom, though. I took after Mom in that way.
Yes, you did, because I'm telling you, man. I mean, if there's a bag of chips, it's just over. And then what's so stupid is, you know what I do? I say, I'm going to take a few out, and I'm usually reclined right there, and I put them right on my chest, and I say, these are the ones I'm going to eat. The problem is I do that 4 or 5 times, and so I keep grabbing and keep filling it up and putting more. And it's not until it's out of my hands. I have to say, Patty, move it from between us. And she's like, why?
Well, that's what Peter does too.
And I'm like, no, I can't. That's the point.
Yeah.
You got to move
Peter's like, here.
Seriously.
But I remember Mom, this is so off topic of what we're talking about, but I remember Mom every single day making dinner and would pull the bag of chips down and open it and eat 3 chips and then close it back up and put it away. Like she just got her little fill of her saltiness. But that's what I do. I'm literally
I remember Mom getting a cookie and biting it.
Yeah.
And then setting it down and go, that's enough. Yeah. I'm like, what? It seriously didn't make any sense to me.
I've done that. At work, people are like, do you want anything? I'm like, and I'm like, oh, I'll take a little piece right here. Well, that's it. I'm good.
No, gosh, I don't even understand you people. There's people starving. I'm kidding. But that is one of the problems with mindset, because we have that mindset and I can't even attribute it to that anymore. To me, food is somewhat of an addiction. It's more like my body says, it's kind of like social media. Is this working? Is the microphone working? What's the matter? No, when you're looking at a social media video and then the next thing you know, you're looking at another one. The next thing they make them so that you do that and you look like a complete idiot. If I was being recorded,
the next thing you know, it's for like an hour later.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes later or whatever, and you're sitting there and you're just flipping away, and it's like it just keeps on going. Well, that's what happens with me with food. It's like I'm not thinking anymore. Yeah, it's just
repetition.
It's repetition. I'm just doing whatever. Yeah. It's like, there it is. I will say I'm far better at controlling myself if I haven't had like any kind of alcohol whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about getting drunk. I'm talking about just having a little whiskey or whatever, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it lowers my
inhibition.
enough that I all of a sudden I don't realize that I'm eating it.
Right.
So I'm better off when I don't drink at all. But anyway, this was interesting because I really thought, for me, the part that really impacted me was this idea of faith, because of my background too. I consider myself a spiritual person. I'm definitely of the Christian faith. I'm honestly not trying to make anybody else what I am. But what I hope is that people will look at me and go, I want what you have. Like, I like your life and what is it that you're doing? And I'm more than willing to share it. But I'm not going to try and throw it down your throat, because ultimately what I really want for you and for them and for whoever and for every listener here is that you literally do what our title says, that you have a wholehearted life, that you can honestly wake up in the morning, have a mission and purpose, desire to get up, desire to go do the next thing, and that you're just living a life that you're happy with, that you're excited about. And for me, having some of this faith, intuition, all these different things is a critical component for us to be able to get over, our imperfections and over those things. Because if we're just living in this world where everything has to be concrete and perfect, and it's unattainable. Yeah. And then we're frustrated.
No, I agree. I definitely have faith, and I definitely have learned to trust it more and just like throw your hands up, so to speak, and just go, okay, I'm just going to walk in faith, because you don't have all the solutions and all the answers and whatever. And she kind of ended it with the serenity prayer, which we have said several times, which basically sums up faith. Yeah.
I love this quote before you go there. I love this quote. So remember, guys, that there's 3 things she always ends with. It's dig deep. It's get deliberate. Letting go of certainty is one of my greatest challenges. And she goes off. I'm not even going to do them because she didn't really just highlight them. She said like bigger things. But one thing she said in the get inspired part is the opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty. And I thought that was really interesting, because people might think that, well, I doubt, I doubt, I'm not 100% sure. You're still living in the faith realm if you're doubting. Right. It's when you have certainty that you're no longer in the faith realm. It's certainty is the opposite. Yeah. And so if you're trying to be a person of faith and you're concerned because you say I have doubts, everybody has doubts. Yeah. That's part of faith. Exactly. You have to have doubts. I'll never forget a guy when we planted our church, and he was an atheist, and he was sitting around for about a year. Diego, he was about a year in our church or something like this. And I remember he always had questions. He's a super rational guy, a rocker. He had hair down to his hips, and he was, but he was super that makes it sound like other people aren't. He was super like a reader and just a very intelligent guy. And he would just sit there, kind of like a bump on the log, because he really wasn't he had very little affect. And I think he felt uncomfortable being there, but he also was very interested in what was going on. And he would always ask me questions, and he would always preface it or end it with, well, you guys believe this, but tell me about, and then, well, you guys believe this. And then I finally said to him, I said, why do you keep saying you guys? You've been coming for a year. And he's like, well, he said, and this is literally what he said. He said, I still have so many questions. I said, dude, I have questions. I said, if you're waiting till you're certain the answers, I said, so the truth is you're just one of us, but you're in a different phase of where you're at. But if you believe that there's a higher power, that there's a God, that this God is here and he's looking after you and he's helping you and he wants to help you. And he goes, well, I do believe that. And I go, dude, you're one of us. Yeah. You're one of us. You just, and he was like, taken aback, because for him, I think he was thinking, I have to have certainty. And it's like, well, that's when you no longer have faith. Yeah. So,
and gosh, definitely always have questions.
Yeah, I think not having questions, we become dumber. So you were going to say the serenity prayer. Sorry.
Yeah, and then she's like, get going, and then she ends it with, when I'm really scared or unsure, I need something right away to calm my craving for certainty. And so then she says what she does, go back to the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah. And I think that's applies whether or not you believe in God. You can take the God out of it and just say, help me to recognize the fact that I can't change things.
That's right.
And that I have to be okay with that. But what I can change, please help me to change them. And also give me the courage to know which ones can or cannot be changed.
That's right.
So,
yeah. And the courage to do it once I figure it out.
Sure.
So for those of you watching on YouTube, one of our lights just died.
That is so weird. It said 100%.
So, but anyway, we're glad you're with us. I hope this has been helpful for you.
That was a very short guidepost, and it was a lot of mumble jumble around the topic of intuition and faith.
Yeah, but I'm blaming you.
Yeah.
It's your fault, 'cause you just always want to talk about the COVID stuff. Guidepost number 6 is cultivating creativity, letting go of comparison.
Oh.
So that's going to be next week, folks. Next week, hopefully you guys are going to be going, oh, I'm so happy for you, Benny. The Chiefs won. That's going to be the goal. Yeah.
Well, next week will be like 3 weeks after the Chiefs supposedly win.
I know, but it will affect the...
You got that, Iggy?
Oh, wow.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining, my friends.
Thank you. We're very glad you're with us. I'm at Benny Gonzalez on Instagram. I would love to hear from you. Send us any questions or comments.
I'm at a Daily Dose of Cocoa. And actually, somebody did comment and ask you to talk about a topic that we will bring up later after we read the book. But keep them coming in. The topics coming in are helpful.
It's helpful for us because we're undecided about what's next after our 10th guidepost. So you could help us out there. Iggy, thank you so much for doing the sound, getting us so that people can hear us and getting it online, all that stuff. And for those of you that are on YouTube and or Spotify, oh my goodness, both lights went out.
We're in the dark.
We're in the dark now. We would love for you guys to go ahead and give other people the links, hit like, do all those things. So it just helps the algorithms so more people can find about podcasts. Yeah. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Chat later. Bye.
Ciao.